Tonight, as we reported early this week, some media outlets have shown sympathy to Faisal Shahzad, the man accused of trying to set off a car bomb in Times Square. To be fair, some of the reports are simply giving the man's background. He was not prospering as a new American citizen. But CBS correspondent Bob Orr has raised some ire over the past 2 nights with his point of view.
He became a U.S. citizen just a year ago, but he has not realized any American dream. He quit his job, lost his house, and was separated from his family. Sources tell CBS News he defaulted on both his mortgage and another $65,000 equity loan. And video taken just after the FBI raid of Shahzad's Connecticut apartment shows the 30-year-old Pakistani-American man lived a Spartan and seemingly lonely existence.
Well, Mr. Orr did not mention that Shahzad had taken 13 trips to Pakistan. Well, that might put a crimp in anyone's wallet, would it not? Let's not analyze Ann Coulter, whose book Guilty is out in paperback. You see, there's no question they're doing it. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have it on tape.
Yes.
They're doing it. They're not saying this is a madman, he should be hung. These Islamic jihadists are threatening our lives. They're not saying that, they being the mainstream media in general. But Mr. Orr goes out of his way to say, hey, you know, this guy had a hard life and he was down on his luck. And that doesn't mention 13 trips to Pakistan. It is not cheap to get to Pakistan. Maybe if he only took 2, he could have paid his mortgage.
Yes, which apparently he was very upset about, that being foreclosed on. Well, you have to understand, Bill, they're working through their grief of the car bomber not being a Tea Partier, which the mainstream media was so rooting for if they could find the right-winger within 1,000 miles of the Tea Party.
I think that's true for a large extent. But even if that's true, even if they wanted it to be another militia-type situation, when you have the fact, that this guy is an Islamic extremist,
yes.
Why are you still trying to make him sympathetic? For what reason?
Right. And he had a wife and a child. It was very upsetting that he was foreclosed on. But the funny thing about these sympathetic portrayals we're getting in the media is the more and more they describe him as, you know, completely normal and was buying into the American way of life, they are unintentionally leaving us with one conclusion. So the one thing that sets him apart from the rest of us, he was a Muslim. That's not the answer they want. They spent all this time saying it's not Islam, it's poverty. Well, apparently it's not poverty. Apparently it's not being able to live in the U.S. They don't realize what direction they're pushing this whole discussion. And okay, the one thing that sets him apart and sets the army doctor apart and sets the subway bomber apart and the diaper bomber apart, what do they all have in common? One's a doctor, one is being foreclosed on, one's living abroad, one just became a citizen last year. They're all Muslims.
Okay, but that's obvious. All right, what isn't obvious
It isn't obvious to the mainstream media because they have no idea what they're doing.
But I don't know why a journalist would want to make a guy like this sympathetic. I mean, if the bomb had gone off, innocent women and children, men, women, and children would have been killed. People have no attachment to any kind of political thing, would have been killed. Muslims probably would have been killed.
Right.
All right? So why are you going out of your way to say he didn't realize the American dream, he got foreclosed on, he only had 3 shirts in his closet?
Right.
For what reason?
Well, you always bring the mainstream media crazy portrayals of, whomever, a late-term abortionist, the Muslim terrorist, criminals, because you should read Treason. It's all in that massive bestseller of mine, because liberals always they have an instinct to root for barbarians against civilization. They always do it. Why did they take the side of the Soviet Union for 20 years?
Is it because they feel that America has brought the terrorism on itself by not giving Faisal a free home or more coats? Is that why? That we're bad because Faisal couldn't make it in Bridgeport, Connecticut?
No, I think you're being way too specific about this. You pick the barbarian from Ted Bundy to Faisal. Liberals will somehow come up with a sympathetic
Bundy,
portrayal.
though, I didn't see much reportage sympathizing with him. But on this end,
no, not only
did you see the Contessa Brewer soundbite from NBC?
Can we please replay it? Yes, I've seen it 100 times, but I'd like to see it again.
No, I don't want to see it again. But this woman was profoundly disappointed that it was a Muslim terrorist. And I'm going, all right, why? Now, if she had said, because I respect the Islamic religion and the Arab culture and I don't want it run down anymore, I could have understood that. I mean, maybe Ms. Brewer respects that culture.
But you know
Could
what
be.
culture they don't respect? They don't respect Christian culture. They don't respect American
but let's
culture.
just take
And you
Ms.
are
Brewer.
absolutely
Let's
wrong
take
about
Ms.
Ted Bundy.
Let's take Ms. Brewer, though. But if she does respect Islamic culture, how do you explain how they treat women, Ms. Brewer? Okay, so there's this chaos and confusion about why these people do what they do. And I'm talking to media. I'll give you the last word.
No, there isn't. You keep complicating things by trying to look at this rationally and not seeing and not accepting my perspective on this. You will find liberals always rooting for savages against civilization. If you accept that, none of this will confuse you.
They didn't root for Nazis against civilization.
Oh, yes, they did.
Liberals rooted for Nazis?
Absolutely, absolutely. It is all in treason. Reread treason. It was only when Hitler invaded their precious Soviet Union that at the last minute they came in and suddenly started saying, oh, no, now we have to fight Hitler. You're absolutely wrong about that.
Bottom line on this is that liberal people will always root for barbarians against civilization.
Yes, I have an entire book on that theme.
Okay. Treason.
Called Treason.
Okay. And called